many conversations with people in this room I've had is about valuations and problems with valuations. Find a surveyor that will value the property more favourably or more in line with what you believe, and make sure you get them to value all your other properties. And then I get the question, well, wait a minute, but when I get a mortgage and I go to my mortgage broker, I can't choose the surveyor. Don't they just go out and, the mortgage broker chooses it? Exactly. You're speaking to the wrong damn brokers. Because the guys that I brought in for you, like Simon and like Owen and like Gareth, are called packagers. So what they can do is they can instruct whichever surveyor they or you want within reason. Interest rates, that kind of thing. I know that you don't like doing it because tomorrow they might be different. Maybe give some kind of insight as to where they might be in the future and what it means to them.
Okay, well, we provide everybody who comes to these meetings and also members who register with us a buy-to-let list that stays real-time. So as mortgage products change in real time, we change the list and send it out to our recipient list. The means of getting that sent to you is just purely at the back of the room. There's a form that you need to complete and put an email address on, and from that point on, you'd receive updates as buy-to-let mortgage products change. As I said, we deal with whole of market, but currently loan-to-values are probably the area that most people are addressing. We've got a situation now where maybe loan-to-values are still going to be reduced slightly.
Okay. Is there a chance that in a week that could be different?
Yes.
Okay. This is why it's important to register and get the real-time updates, because what we used to do years ago is that, someone like Owen would come up and say, oh yeah, 85%, 5.9, and he'd happily stand there on camera and say it, because in a year's time it'd be the same. Yeah?
Correct.
Is that the same now?
No, definitely not.
Can anyone see a benefit of loan-to-values going down? Get a better price. I was having this discussion with someone else again about loan-to-values, because, when they were... Julian, first of all.
Yes.
What would you say are maybe the 3 most important things that people should know when highlighting their area?
The way that I've kind of always done things is there's one very, very important point, and that's relationships. Above all, before anything else, you've got to nurture relationships, you've got to build relationships. You have to evaluate areas properly as well. People make a lot of mistakes. People will see a property on the internet or in the paper and they think, blimey, this looks great, and they'll shoot down there, they'll view it, they'll make an offer, only to find that it won't rent out. Only to find that they won't be able to reach the valuation they first thought because they haven't spent time evaluating the area. Now, as an example, it should take you a week to 2 weeks to evaluate an area successfully, and that's working from home or office on your computer. That's using sites like Wright, Prime Location. The government website, it used to be the odpm.gov.uk, which is the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister. I think it's now under communities.gov.org, but if you go into Google and you search in communities, you'll find it. On that site alone, you can find out. They're my 2 key points.
Mark, anything to add?
I think it's for me, number one is yield. I will always try and buy in an area where I think way in which I would evaluate an area, as long as you do get the rents that you think you're going to get.
Okay, excellent. Right. Have you all taken notes? Can I move on to the next question? Yeah? Okay. So, you have gone on Rightmove, you've checked that there are properties that yield maybe 8 to 12%, something like that, by working out the values versus the rents. You've done what Dina did and you've done your research and you've highlighted that there seems to be, a big queue of people waiting for a council house, that kind of thing. So you found your area. Okay. Next, how do you buy property? In terms of like marketing strategies, or how do you find and buy property?
Again, this comes back to the relationship. One of the main mistakes I feel that people make is they introduce themselves as property investors. Now, to give you an example, I used to be an estate agent, and the word property investor would basically mean, in an estate agent's point of view, so you take all these details down, you stand up and you shake their hand. What would you do with the card if you were the agent? They're called binners. Every estate agent will know what a binner is because they end up in the bin because they're no good. They're not going to bring you any business. The way that the estate agents work is they get paid a very small wage, but they make their money on commission off the back of selling property. So what you have to do is you have to... I've already spoken to a broker. I know how much I can borrow. It's probably up to this amount here. I've already got a solicitor as well, because I've paid some money to a solicitor, so they're ready to go. Can we go out and have a look now? Who's the estate agent going to want to work with?
Can
the
I
property
add
expert?
Can I add something there? For all of you that were in the room when I was just sort of rambling before the others came back, do you remember I said about the law of authority? Yeah? What the conversation that Julian has just had there has cleverly enabled the estate agent. He knows because he was one, that's why I've got him here for you. He can tell you exactly what to say so that you're not a binner. I've never heard of a binner until today, but that's a, you know, I can use that from now on. So that you're not a binner, this thing, you know, you want to be a winner and not a binner. Oh yeah, put that in the manual.
You just sounded like a binner saying that.
Julian, let's carry on what we were discussing earlier.
Yes.
Have you got anything else to add about negotiation before we talk about marketing? And I'm going to grill you on the laws of influence that you might or might not know, but it'll be fun.
The only thing that I would say, and I spoke to a couple of people outside as well, is, and I think I said this before I went out for my cheeky cigarette anyway, is every deal's different and you've got to be prepared to be flexible dependent on your vendor's situation. The agent can help you by giving... There's no point going in under 80,000 if they've already turned 3 offers down at 80,000. Walk away from the deal. You don't need to buy every property that you view. I've probably viewed in excess of 5,000-6,000 properties over the years, and I bought plus 400. So the big things are, don't make decisions with your heart. This is all literally business.
Conversation quite a while back, and you're a very good person to answer this. Did you not do a deal with someone where you were like buying one for you, one for them, and they were providing the finance?
Absolutely. I did a joint venture with a client of mine. She was going to buy a property, and she'd been talking about it for 3 years. And I said, you've been talking about this, and you haven't done anything with it. How about we leverage my knowledge and my expertise, and you pay for all the advertising? So she paid for all the advertising. The last property that we bought, it was valued at 160. We bought it for 111,000. And the mortgage is £260 a month, and we get £700 a month rent. And she spent £1,500.
We're going to start the stopwatch on Mark and see if he can show you how to evaluate a deal remotely on Rightmove without having to go there in 6 minutes or less, probably to 90% accuracy. You know, that last 10% you'll need to go to the area, but of course if you do this remotely, you could evaluate 50 areas and decide, well, these 3 look like they're the best, and then go to these 3 and do the other 10% diligence. Do you think that might be fun and useful? Okay, right, go. So do you want me to? Also, I mean, if you haven't already got it, and I think you have, we will talk a little bit more about the finance, and Mark goes into more detail about his analysis and just shows you in more detail why now really is the best time for... I worked it out that every 10.3 years, the property market goes down in value. And when I say that, I took all of the data since the 30s, and I worked out of how many years did the market go down in 1 year. And out of every 10.3 years, it went down 1 year. Does that make sense? So in 21 years, it went down in 2 years. How can it not be the biggest opportunity ever? Bearing in mind, it went down last year, it's probably going to go down this year, and it's probably going to go down next year. So we've got 3 for the price of 1. We're not going to get that if you look at the data for another 30 years. I'll be nearly dead. I would love to see you. If you've got questions about it, come and grill us. If there's things you want to know about, if we talk about this and that, come and speak to us. We're going to come back at 6:10 for the evening session. Thank you very much.
Okay, what we specifically learned today was that we've probably got our attitude towards estate agents quite wrong.
What I mostly learned was some excellent negotiation techniques, which I didn't know before I came. And I also learned to take the emotion out of the deal.